Hello, VC. Right, yes, 2003. What was I doing in 2003? Well, 2003 I was in college and working part time. So I was earning reasonable money, I suppose, at a young age and in college. And I remember finishing college quite regularly and popping into the city where I was and going into HMV, having a look around and buying albums, as well as DVDs and what have you. But yeah, I did buy a lot of albums from HMV at that particular period in my life. Classic albums and modern albums for the time. So, yeah, without going too far on what I brought in HMV back then, let's start off with a few honourable mentions. Honourable mentions, I have to say, for 2003 would be the White Stripes, Elephants, and of course, Seven Nation Army being a big hit from them at that time. Hoobastank, The Reason, just what a song that was, just incredible. But it didn't make the top 10, didn't quite do it. The Kings of Leon, Youth and Young Manhood. Electric Six, Fire. A lot of hits on here. I'm not sure Dance Commander was one of them, but that's a good tune. Danger, High Voltage, of course. Gay Bar. Yeah, I do like that one. Athlete, Vehicles and Animals. I always thought this was a nice album of athletes. El Salvador, West Side, 1 Million. She's got that style. Well, she's got the style. I think those were hits. So, yeah, a few of those. And that's basically it, really. Let's get into the top 10. My top 10. 10th place. Linkin Park, Meteora. Yeah, I do like this album. But regarding its rapping, there's a hell of a lot of rapping in it, for one. And it's just not as good as Hybrid Theory. I do like it, but there's just a lot more rapping in this, and yeah, than what they should be, in my opinion. And I mean, I don't mind it, but the other one worked so well. You know, just the right kind of level of rap and rock, and but this just not quite so good. The songs aren't quite so strong. It's not as good. It's not as good as Hybrid Theory, but it's good enough to make the top 10. Travis, 12 Memories. There's a few singles on here which I went out to buy. Reoffender being one of them, and Love Will Come Through. So yes, this is in my 9th spot. Nice album. I actually do need to give that another listen. Actually, it's been a while since I actually heard that one. Jet, Get Born. Like this a lot. Are You Gonna Be My Girl? Look What You've Done. Yeah, good solid album, this one. 6th spot, Evanescence, Falling. Yeah, what a breathtaking album. Going Under, Bring Me to Life, My Immortal. Yeah, just incredible album, this one. Wouldn't mind this on vinyl, actually. So yeah, Evanescence, Fallen. 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6th spot. Danny Warhol's Welcome to the Monkey House. I remember buying this after on the back of their previous album, and I really did like it. It wasn't that successful, I don't think, much in the UK. Didn't particularly chart very high, I don't think. But I've always liked We Used to Be Friends, and I like the album. It's just very, very listenable. It doesn't sort of fatigue on you. You know, it's not too sort of heavy. It's in the middle there. You know, you can sort of give it lots of listens, and every time you do, you hear something new. You know, it's that kind of thing. So yeah, do like this album. After quite a break, Blur return with this album, Think Tank. Blink-182, just self-titled album. This album, I think the hits I Miss You on here, Down, I believe, Always, and yeah, just a good Blink-182 album, this one. The Strokes, this was quite a big album back at the time of 2003. Yeah, this was quite a good album actually back then. Got a lot of attention, and yeah, do like this album a lot. So hence that's in my third place. Second place is a bit of a sleeper really. I was in HMV back in my college years, and went in there and saw the new Wheatus album, and I hear it was pretty poorly promoted by Sony. I think there was a fallout with the band and Sony, hence its poor promotion. But I can remember seeing it sort of on display there, and knowing how much I liked their previous album. Was that self-titled, or was it called something? I can't remember. But anyway, their new album at the time, Hand Over Your Loved Ones. It's not a particularly good front cover. It just looks kind of, well, boring, you know. I'm not surprised they say that it was poorly promoted and it kind of went under the radar, because I imagine just the cover alone just wouldn't have done much for many people. But I knew who Wheatus were. I knew about the Teenage Dirtbag. I had their other album before this one, and I absolutely loved it. And this is good. This is really good. There's a lot of hits on here, hits which didn't actually become hits, which had potential to become hits if they were properly sort of promoted. It's a good, solid album. It's very enjoyable. The deep cuts are better than the actual hit, which was actually released. I think the only hit on here was American in Amsterdam. That's good. That's okay. But songs like Anyway, Freak On, Lemonade, The Deck, Fair With a Friend, Randall as well. Randall, just so enjoyable and listenable, and you can sort of keep enjoying that music over and over again. It doesn't fatigue. It never becomes kind of boring. It's not too heavy. It's fun. It's kind of poppy. There's elements of rock in there, and it's just fun. It's fun music. Dynamite Satchel of Pain as well. That's just a fun track. It's just silliness, and yeah. The song that I wrote, When You Diss Me, track 2. It's just fun, and I highly recommend picking this up, because I imagine a lot of you don't even realise it's out there. Did actually do like a rebranding of this album and added a few extra tracks, and they called it a different name entirely under their own label, which was Suck Phony. So yeah, a bit of a dig at their previous label before, but yeah, I highly recommend Hand Over Your Loved Ones by Wheatus. And at number 1, this band was it was a bit of a one-hit wonder, and they brought glam rock back, and I think on the back of The Darkness and that success, made a lot of other bands happen as well. You know, it was after this came out, there was kind of like this re-emergence of all these sort of new bands which became really big, such as The Killers and so forth. This kind of was the start of it all. The Darkness This was amazing. This just exploded. This album is so good from start to the finish. It's wild. It's out there. It's just fun. It doesn't care. It doesn't care. I mean, yeah, it's mad, but it's so enjoyable, and I highly recommend The Darkness, Permission to Land. And that is it. Maybe the albums weren't quite kind of as strong as some of those previous years, but certainly the number one was very, very strong. I expect, of course, Wheatus. No one would expect to see that Wheatus album in my in a top 10 as such, but I included it because I loved it back then, and I still do. So it's all subjective. Everyone has their own taste in music, so I have a lot of American taste and British, so it is a bit of a mixed bag. And I did like my rock. I mean, I still do, but like I did like it back then a hell of a lot. Rock and indie, that kind of stuff. And so next year will be 2004, and we'll be seeing bands such as Keane, Killers, Kaiser Chiefs. I imagine will probably be in there. Just this explosion of these great bands, which was just happening at that particular time. Exciting times, and I was glad to be young in it and enjoying it with my friends and family back then, going out clubbing, listening to this great music of that particular period, and I do wonder sometimes if we'll ever have an era like that. It just seems to be the last of the great eras. Like each decade passed, and there's a few years in that decade where it was just like a really good time. It was that for me in the noughties, sort of around that sort of 2004, 2005 period. But we'll talk about that a little bit later in my next video. And until then, everyone, bye for now.